So many people have asked me to ride more Nitro, and I try, but we never get much past the demos. We never get an extended demo. And I had such an infatuation with the wood carver after riding it at the demos that I just straight up fucking bought it with my precious good ride dollars. Obviously, doing a site like this, choosing a lifestyle like this doesn't afford me a massive budget. I feel rich inside, but not in the wallet. I feel rich in my soul. But I bought this, and I wanted to put some time on it and really compare it to some other favorites. You know, I don't own the Molaire, but I own the Pick Your Line, and you know, I have lots of good memories of the Molaire and lots of good memories of the flagship, and ridden that a ton. And I just kind of tried to reference it against a lot of other favorites, a lot of potential favorites like the Libtech E-Jackknife. That really had a lot of potential to being a free ride favorite. And it's a great board. You know, this just feels a little more turny, where the E-Jack felt a little more straight liney. The E-Jack just wasn't that fun in uneven snow, bumpy snow, going through the trees, it wasn't that great in powder, but really shined for that person who just loves to bomb, get air, make kind of longer drawn out carves, you know, kind of cross groomer carves. And I felt that was a great board for that. The wood carver really shined, just making carves and turning. It wasn't as hooky as I thought. It's not hooky really at all. It doesn't feel as stable as inspiring as, let's say, the Nitro Mountain that we rode. But that felt more bomby, more straight liney, more you know, big groomer kind of board. This feels like it can be really fun, small tight groomers like I have here at Bachelor sometimes, and big wide open groomers too. And it can pick up good speed. It's got a really good flex. I tried this. You can see it's kind of medium stiff to stiff. I tried this with the Union Atlas, the Burton Genesis X, the Adidas Xterra, and the Adidas Tactical ADV. And I felt that you could even go down with softer boots and bindings if you wanted to. So slower response and softer boots, less responsive boots. Because this turns so quickly, it doesn't really need a lot of boot and binding behind it. It's fun to have it if you want it, if that's what you like, but you don't need it as much as you do with some other boards. And while I feel like boards like, to a smaller extent, the Molaire can kind of like, has maybe a touch more float, and it has that turny feel too, and carvy and fun. But this kind of like outshined the Molaire when it comes to a carve. You know, and this was probably the least out of all the, you know, like comparing to all the favorites, float and powder, but it's still very good. And what really surprised me was how comfortable, you know, medium stiff full camber board like this was in the trees. Like I could really weave in and out. I could really hammer through bumps, just really make nice tight turns. And this 59 really shined in bumps, almost like the Pick Your Line. Yeah, that's a little more forgiving with a, you know, tip and tail. You can kind of get off your game a little more. This is still catchy and kind of locked in because it's almost full camber. It just has a touch of early rise. But I was really surprised at the ability to slalom through trees. And then let's say, you know, you get down a line you're not that familiar with and you kind of hit a dead end where you have to take a hard right or left. This could do that too. That side cut is just so turny, so quick edge to edge, and so quick once you're engaged too. So it's quick initiating and quick turning. It just really accelerates through the turn in a fun way. Like you feel the give of the camber, but you feel that side cut engaging, and it's just this super cool spring out of the turn. It's got nice directional pop. Obviously, it's not going to, you know, shine going to hit the park and, you know, land switch. But if you just want to throw a method and land, it's, you know, it's practically perfect, you know. So that 50%, that directional riding is amazing. It's really got good spring off the tail, not a butterer. Great grip, really good for somebody who sees hard snow, and maybe a little bit of powder because it can really shine in a powder run. The biggest thing, I think, is like, you know, yeah, like something like the Jones Flagship, the Never Summer Chairman, and the Yes Pick Your Line are all going to float way better in powder. But this is going to do really well, you know, up to a certain point. You know, I'd say probably once it starts to get much over your knee, you're probably going to want something a little more floaty. But if you're used to a camber board, this is going to do very well for a camber board, and it's going to really, you know, if you can keep your speed and stuff, it's going to float very well. So much better than I thought it would be in powder, and much better than I thought it would be in uneven terrain. I thought this would be kind of a beast, but instead it's really, really turny and really handles it well. So all in all, I think, like, comparing this to the favorites, I think where this really shines, wow, the dog is jamming. This really shines when you want to go out and turn and carve, but it also does well in all those other categories too, to where it doesn't just shit the bed, it actually performs pretty well and fun. So it's definitely lives for people who see a lot of hard snow, a lot of carving, you know, like good groomers, but also want some fun in powder, as long as it doesn't get too deep, and like going in uneven terrain and going off piste. This will do very well. So I think it's a nice addition to the Good Ride favorites, and kind of hangs in there with all of them in some categories and really shines in others. It's just a well-rounded, fun board. I'd say the only thing is it's almost too turny. It's almost too tight of a circle. I wouldn't even mind if they mellowed out the side cut just a touch, but it's so much fun, and I've been having such a blast on this. I've ridden it like 5 or 6 days now, and I just keep wanting to get on it again. Super sharp, grippy edges. It's got those extensions in the edges that really grabs. So there you have it. That's my follow-up review with some riding, and you know, this is mine. I'm keeping it.